how do you measure consumer acceptability? I think it's very, very important. It's very tough. It's very tough. Why? Because, as I said earlier, what consumer are you talking about? Like in a country like India, you want to launch a product and you want to find consumer acceptability. Well, before that, you've got to decide which consumer are you talking about. So, is it going to be only in the west of India? Is it going to be only in Tamil Nadu? Is it going to be national? So, that's the first question. I work for a company which used to produce and market national brands, and I was the product manager for a brand called Boost. Maybe you all know. It's a milk additive called Boost, and it's a national brand, and it goes to all parts of India. So exactly the same question we used to ask almost every day. What does this consumer want? And in addition, we also had a lot of constraints inside the company. We are also marketing another product called Horlicks. So we wanted to ensure that Horlicks and Boost don't compete with each other, with the same consumer. So first of all, we have to design and define amongst ourselves, what does this product give to the consumer? For example, if you take Horlicks and Boost, we define that Horlicks, the key word is health, and Boost, the key word is energy. Then the next step was to define the consumer. So based on that, you start to define the consumer. Why would somebody want to buy Boost, and where do they buy Boost? So you need to do all those iteratively. And once you are clear about what kind of consumer you want, you start to test the product. You start to first test it internally, and then you start to go out and test. There are very good models available these days which predict reasonably well the acceptability of a consumer. But the only problem is it all changes. The consumer is the most untrustworthy person. Never sticks to one thing, changes totally illogical, changes his or her mind like that just because the neighbor said something is wrong. So what you really do is you present the various options and test out the acceptability. Now, in terms of the taste, there are standard, well approved taste panels, etc., which you've heard of, which lots of companies do. Particularly what I call as the flavor houses. They are now experts in testing those. But once again, lots of things have changed for those. Today, the social media has changed that completely. So consumer acceptability of, for example, textile. Today, more and more large textile houses, they don't go through standard consumer studies. What they do is, if it's a spring collection for next spring, they put it out 6 months ago on the Facebook of all their consumers and say, okay, here are these 5 models, which one would you use or which one would you prefer? And they take that feedback and start to work on it. And nowadays they even go one step further. They give you pieces of the dress and they say, you design it the way you want to and show me the way you like and in what color you want. So there is a lot more interaction that's possible today. Unfortunately in food you are not in a position to do that yet, but it's happening. In the US, there are these companies which are interacting directly with consumers rather than going through panels, etc., to test out whether they're acceptable. But that will not take away the basic tests, etc., that you need to do, which will always be there. But in all this comes cost. Because I still remember in my company when I launched a product, I don't want to say which product, but it just didn't work out, basically because by the time the finance department approved the product, there was nothing much left in the product because we had to take out everything because it was too expensive. So you have to also play the cost into all this while you test the product. But there are very, very efficient methods available in the market.